Hi everyone. Very warm welcome to the Metamorphosis podcast. So today's session is Urology ST3 success stories. So we have two incredible doctors or guests who have successfully secured the National Urology ST3 training number this year. So we have Ms. Molly Nichols and Mr. Faridul Islam. And I would like to again congratulate both of you guys for your wonderful achievement. And also a huge shout out for Molly, who ranked first nationally in ST3 urology selection process. It, it's an outstanding achievement, I would say. And also, before we dive in, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to brilliant Atikur Rahman, who is the mastermind behind organizing today's episode. Thank you so much for your time and support. Okay, so Molly and Faridul, how are you guys doing?
Very well, thank you for the very kind introduction. It's lovely to be
Thank
with
you.
you today.
Thank
Right.
you.
Good afternoon, Smita. Yeah, we're doing fine, I believe.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have few segments today. Okay, so the first segments I would like to discuss personal journeys to SG3. So my question will be starting with Molly. What initially inspired you to join urology SG3 training?
Yeah, so I think I didn't really have much exposure to urology until my medical school placement, and I hadn't previously thought of it as a kind of career option. I'd always wanted, I think, I wasn't fully sure, but I'd always been surgically inclined because I like the practical skills and the variety that it brings to your kind of day-to-day work. I had a medical student placement in the Churchill Hospital, and I met some really wonderful female role models, including the consultant at the time, Naomi Neal, and one of the registrars, Catherine Lovegrove. And it was really nice to see them at work. They seemed to really enjoy their job. I remember Naomi had a badge on her lanyard saying, "I love my job." And I asked her if it was like a joke, because I thought, surely not. But she said, no, it's a really, really excellent career. I love it. And she really encouraged me. I think having confidence to pursue a career in surgery was something that I definitely lacked because I looked to other people who wanted to do surgery and they were very, very keen on it. They'd already done so much stuff, and I felt like I was kind of on the back foot. So seeing them enjoying their job and giving me the confidence to kind of get involved in surgery and consider it as a career option. Yeah, I think all of the urologists I've met have been really, really nice. The teams are always really supportive. It's a wonderful specialty with so much variety, and I think it offers a really, really kind of rich career. So yeah, that's what inspired me.
Wonderful explain, Molly. Okay. Yeah, so great. Let's go to Mr. Fardul. So for you, my question is, you are representing IMGs here. So were there any significant obstacles along the way, and how did you overcome these obstacles?
I think the only obstacles I would say I faced was publication because I didn't had much exposure to audit and publication back at home. I have done some audits, but no publications at that time when I came to UK. So I think the people who is coming from outside should focus to more academic sort of things like audit, research, publications. It will make your life easier, especially if you have teaching experience. Make sure that you have certificates and all of those things sorted. Proper wording is very important. So for that, you have to go through the ST3 application pro forma, that what they're actually asking you, for how long you will need those teaching, what kind of publications they're going to accept. So these are very important things to focus on from your early, when you start prepping, or if you start make a decision that you want to be a neurologist, you should focus on those things, because it takes time. So publication takes years to publish, and a good
Yes.
publication can be published high impact journal, but you shouldn't be focusing on high impact journal on your first few publications. Just make sure that you start doing your job, focusing on small impact journals, start publishing it, which is green. I think there is some green sites they accept for urology only, so focus on that.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you because I was on the same boat, and I'm also feeling like, yeah, this is yeah, wonderfully explained. Thank you so much. And to Molly, did you have any obstacles, and how did you overcome those things?
Yeah, I think I had fairly limited exposure to surgery kind of in my foundation training. I'd been at quite big tertiary centres where if you did attend theatre, you'd be kind of the third person who's just observing. So I think I lacked confidence in the kind of practical skills and being involved in urology specific projects. I think it's really important, particularly when you're junior in your career, to kind of understand what the different projects have to offer, because I'd get involved in a lot of things and not necessarily know what I was going to get out of it. And I would be saying yes to things to try to be helpful. And maybe it's not going to merit anything for you. There's no publication at the end of the road, no presentation, none of these things. So I think once you identify some helpful supervisors, particularly in the field of urology, and make sure you have talks with them about actually what your needs are, how you want to develop your portfolio, and tell them what your expectations are. And then you can work together to achieve that. And then there won't be any nasty surprises after you've done all of this work and you find that actually you're not going to get the fruit of your labor. So I think it's about being a little bit smart, having a look at the portfolio. When I started CT1, I think my portfolio score was about 20%. And so just in my CT1 year, I was able to bring it up really significantly just by kind of having a really supportive team and trying to be kind of smart with my time and making sure I'm hitting all of the different points in the portfolio. So it is definitely doable in a short space of time.
Oh, wonderful. Yes,
I'd like
so we
to
will
add
go.
something about what Molly just said, that
Yeah.
when someone decided that, oh, I want to do urology, you should get a urology friendly supervisor. So someone who is working in urology, know how the portfolio works and how the interview works as well. So they can guide you throughout your to build up your portfolio properly. Otherwise, if you don't have a urology experienced supervisor, you're not going to be 100% optimize their potential and your potential at that point. So try to get that.
Yeah, I think it's a very useful advice. Yes, we would like to go a bit deep in it. So, okay. Thank you so much. These were like very, I mean, these were amazing advices. Thank you so much for that. So let's get into the application processing sides. So we know the application process includes like some portfolio and then the interview selection. So would you like to tell us about like urology portfolios and then how the points are distributed and how we're gonna get them? So I will start with
So I think urology portfolio, there is a personal specifications available in Oriel. So everyone who is planning to build a apply for ST3 urology, they should get it and get it early. The problem is it can change every year. So you have to make sure that the last year they give, you have everything there, plus something more. So that if they add anything else at the end, you don't need to rush, because you don't have much time at that point actually, because it will be published like 2-3 months before the interview application closes. So you should be on top of it and some extra as well. So you start with post graduations. Most of us normally who are juniors, specifically like the CT2 trainees with applying for ST3, they most of them don't have post graduation. So there is almost 11 points there. People don't get, but who is someone who has some post graduation degrees done and everything, they are, I will say, lucky to have those points there. So if you don't have it, you don't have it. Just focus rest of the bits. There is papers, publications, fast author publications, co-author publications. You should be really focusing on, from my side, because I had this struggle to publish things. So I would say that you should start focusing on your audits, because your audit will be your presentation and it will be your publication. So when you are doing some audits, make sure that it is a good project which you can publish, you can poster, you can present, and also you can either Also you contribute with other people in their publication as well, so that you can be a co-author publication, because you also have points there. So I think there is, if you have fast author, 3 fast author publication, you get full points. If you get 2 co-author publication, you achieve full point on the portfolio basis.
Okay, right, right. So what is the total point?
So in total, there is 76 points in
Okay.
the portfolio, and 11 points out of that, 11 points from post-graduation. I think 3 points from first author publication and 2 from co-author publication.
I think, yeah, it's up to 3 first author publications. I think it's 2 points for each. But remain agile, because as you mentioned, they change it year on year, because every year it's getting more competitive and people are getting more and more points. So I think it's worth kind of looking at the other specialties, seeing how they're changing things. Sometimes they move away from just having done the audits to looking at the quality of your audit and having to show more evidence. So I was in a national teaching thing with one of the people who were on the selection panel, and they said that they wouldn't be surprised if that is the direction that the urology self-assessment goes, because at the moment it's just a form to say you've done that audit. So I think trying to do high quality audit, as you said, because then you get to publish and present. Annoyingly, you can't use the same evidence in 2 sections, so you have to do even more, but always aim for high quality, aim for doing it in urology. At the moment, they're generous with publications. They let you do publications in any topic, potentially in the future. This is just me hypothesizing. There's no evidence behind what I'm saying, but maybe they could change it so it's urology specific. So it's always worth having a look, thinking about how they could make things more difficult so you can prepare yourself for those changes, because you'll only find out maybe 3 months in advance, and that is not enough time for you to be
Publish anything at all.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
So
I think, because Molly already mentioned it, that things are changing. General surgeons, they used to have, for their ST3 training application, they used to have like audits. You have done audits. They change it totally. It's now the quality of the audit rather than how many you have done. So you give your best audit, and they will see rest of the applicants, how good is their audit, and they will compare, okay, right, maybe it's in the high, medium, or low quality of the audit. So you should start working on that, because maybe there is a chance that rather than looking into the how many audits you have done, they will start looking into how good is your audit as well. And also try to be, because urology is, the portfolio is so focused on urology, most of the evidence need to be urology based. So when someone start working on their portfolio, they should do audits, specific audits, because you cannot, if you publish one, you have done one audit and you published it of that audit, you cannot use that audit on your audit section, because it goes into the publication section. So you will need a lot of audits in your bucket to give, one for publication, one for co-author publications, one for closed cycle audits, single cycle audits, posters, presentations. So you will need a lot of audits. So focus on your audits and the quality of the audits you're doing.
do you remember like how many audits you had?
Ooh, I think I have done like 15, 16 audits minimum.
Oh, it's a 15, 16 closed loop audit.
So I think in all of them,
That's showing off now, actually.
like three, four of them are single cycle, and most of them are closed cycle, because you need a lot of closed cycle audits, because it's
Yes.
good for publication, good for presentation as well.
Mm.
So I think, how many, Molly, how many audits you think you have done?
Certainly not 15 or 16.
Then
Yeah, some of mine were used in the publication presentation. I think mine's more looking at single digits, but I did do a little bit of a scramble at the end to churn out some closed single cycle audits. You can be smart about it, but I think given that they may change the criteria, you might have to
why I have so
a little
many,
harder than I did.
why I have so many audits, because I didn't realize initially that you can claim the point for closed cycle audit, and if it's urology based, you can claim points from both section.
Yeah.
What I did, I have done general surgical audits, closed cycle, and other departments. I have done closed cycle audits, and I have to do urology now.
Yeah.
That's why my audits become too many of them. So
But yeah, I would say try and from this talk that we had from someone on the national selection thingy, they did say in that audit section, almost everybody gets full marks. So you really like you can do it. So just get that done and get the evidence.
Yes.
make sure you are achieving full points on the audit section, presentations, posters, all of those things. You can
Yes.
like in couple of months time. So you should focus on that. You have to be a little bit I would say a little bit focused on that. If you do a urology audits, it can serve you both. Like there is two categories. All right, if you do closed cycle audit only, if it's from general surgeons, ophthalmology, ENT you worked in, you have done closed cycle audit there, they will give you points. But there is specific areas for urology closed cycle audits. So if you do urology course loops, closed loop audits, then it will serve in both, so you can claim points on
Okay.
both sections. So I think
Okay.
that's important. I didn't realize it first. I didn't get it on the first bit, and that's why the audit becomes so many. And Molly was the clever one, and I believe she focused on the urology bits, and that's why she managed to get the full points by working less and more focused.
I
Works
mean,
smarter, not
there is
hard.
nothing to lose, like having lots of audits, obviously.
Definitely not. You will get a lot of
Yeah.
publications and
Yes.
presentations
True.
definitely out of
I'd
it.
So
also
yes, true.
say if anyone listening is kind of like starting core surgical training or even their foundation training, it is a little bit keen, but do think ahead. Have a look at what is the criteria for your core surgical training, what is the criteria for your ST3, and see how you can hit the most birds with just one stone. Because you don't want to be creating work for yourself. If you can do just one project and it ticks all the boxes for both CST and your ST3, then again, it's just about being, you have a busy job, you have a busy life, try and be efficient with your time.
And another thing,
Wonderful.
few of
Yes.
the audit things and few of the criterias, they specifically ask that after med school. So
Yeah,
if you've done something in your med school, that will not count.
I was
And
pretty
Okay.
happy with that because I was a lazy medical student. So that worked well for me.
So yes, let's get into the publications. So Molly, how many publications you have done?
So I have, I think I have two first author, but I'm not especially proud of them because I needed to publish quickly for my application. So I chose journals that had a quick turnaround time, where because often like the peer review process and all the revisions, it takes years and you have no control over when you're going to hear back from them. And so I decided to be a bit tactical and send off two publications to like a journal that has a quick turnaround but lower impact factor, as you were saying. And then some of my nicer publications, I'm like a collaborative author. Some of them are in medical education and things. But yeah, it depends if you're doing them for kind of the publication's sake, if you've got time, the luxury of time. If you don't have the luxury of time, as you mentioned earlier, it might be worth being tactical and trying to have a more guaranteed result of a publication. But yeah,
Do
not
you remember?
my greatest work, but they did
No.
the job.
So do you remember the name of the journals who are like quite flexible to accept the publications
So
from
yeah, so
like
one of my
junior
colleagues,
doctors?
there's one called Curious, which is a very quick turnaround. But I think everybody in the medical field is aware that it's not the highest impact factor, but it is quick and you can publish for free. So if you're
Yes.
wanting to be tactical, then that's an option.
Yes. Is
so
if
Molly,
someone
yeah,
yes.
as a junior, I think everyone should not everyone should focus on the high impact journal. You should start with the low impact journal first. your writing will be better, your project will get better with time, and at some point you will start, your publication will be high impact, doesn't matter where you publish it, isn't it? So I would say, like,
Yeah.
yeah, most of us initially we try to go for the journals which is like really publish these things quite quickly, and also cost effective, because uh, this publication sometimes it is expensive sometimes, and there is
Yes.
a lot of publication PubMed cited, so they accept PubMed cited publication. You need a PMID number on your publication, so check the PubMed site that and also on the ST3 portfolio thing, you will find out that there is a lot of journals they already put in there that they
Yeah.
accept in
The
that
green listed
in
journals.
list
Yes.
of the journals, and not all of them are easily accessible, but you can publish any publication which is PubMed cited, not even in UK, you can publish anywhere in the world. So there is I published one of my publications in Momentshing journal, so which is a PubMed cited, that's the only PubMed cited journal in Bangladesh. So that was
Okay.
you can try to publish there, but it takes time, at least a year. You have to work on that, because
Mm-hmm.
it will go through the editors, they will send some corrections, you have to do it, and you have to resend it, they will review it again. If it's accepted, they will even sometimes they give you a second chance that okay, there is still a lot of plagiarism there, you have to correct it. Then on the second, I think after the second one, they will say no, we are not accepting it. So when you are sending something, try to make sure that you are not just copying from somewhere else. You're using your own words, your own research, and other bits. And the easy way to publish at this moment is meta-analysis. If you know how to
Mm.
do it, just sitting at home, you can publish a lot of journals. Just you need to know what topic you want to work on. So there is a lot of like PubMed cited journals there available. You just go through all of them, do a meta-analysis and publish it. I have seen people, I saw one guy who published 3 journals in 2 months time. So he done
Wow.
3 fast author publication in 2 months time, just doing meta-analysis.
I think supervision is also key, because obviously, like, what we'd like to do is to make good quality contributions to research and have publications that we are happy with. So if you've got time, have a good supervisor, try to aim for the good journals and publish something that's helpful, and that you can be proud of. But yeah, I mean, the one that I mentioned earlier, they turn around from submission to publication if it's okay and not many issues. I have both of my papers turned around in 2 weeks. So that's why I did
Wonderful.
my little panicked submissions there.
Yeah, I mean, these talks are like, really, really helpful, I believe. And then I'm so happy, like, I have got all this information from you. And then, yeah, so we will work on it, obviously. Okay, so there are other sections like teaching and leadership. Would you like to give some insights about like teaching and leadership project and how someone can get involved into this, like if they're working at junior level?
I think in terms of teaching, most trusts will have a director of medical education. Some trusts will have like a teaching fellow. So I think if you're wanting to get involved in developing a teaching program, if you found a niche, you've got maybe I mean, when I was in F1, there was like an issue that I had where I didn't really understand echo reports very well. And so I developed a teaching program with some cardiologists to teach like what echo reports mean and help to kind of translate them to the F1 doctors. And I worked with the education team to do that. And then you can kind of make sure you get all the evidence that says the appropriate stuff on it. I think teaching, they're very generous at the moment. They give you marks for doing like a very short amount of teaching. I think that's something that they could certainly increase to make it more proportionate with the other specialties. I can't remember whether it's 4 hours or something very short at the moment. So I think I tried to do something a bit more substantial over like a nice wide amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I also got involved in like a national teaching society, so that I could get leadership points and also kind of the teaching points as well. But yeah, I was lucky. I did a year out in F3 working for a university doing teaching, so that made my life quite easy in that respect. And I'd certainly
Yeah,
recommend doing that if anyone's interested in education.
Right.
wonderful.
So on teaching section, I would like to mention there is like you can claim up to 4 points. So if you do informal teachings, you can claim up to 2 points. If you have a faculty member, you have 3 points there. And if you run a course yourself, that gives you 4 points there. So when you are getting involved in teaching, even you need teaching experience for your core training as well. And in core training, I think they specifically mentioned that you have to take the teaching course need to be 3 months. So if you are applying for core training, make sure that you are also the organizer, not the faculty member. So what will happen? It will serve you on both sides. And if you have 3 months of teaching there, you're sorted. It can be online as well now, because with the online platforms now, teaching is quite easy. You just get involved with different educational uh, organizations, and you just do regular teaching. You can propose them. So for us, for me and my wife, we have done some teaching with Access Medical, which is a online platform, works in Bangladesh. So and we have achieved like full points on that. So that could be something good if you're having difficulty getting access, because if you're in a medical hospital, like medical school sort of organization, they will not going to let you, it is, if it's not really good, they're not going to let you any course you run yourself. So to gain 4 points, you need to make sure that you're optimizing all the available resources on your hand. It could be online, it could be offline. You should arrange things for your organizations as well, which can count as teaching. And but you need the CPD points, definitely.
Regarding that online thing, I don't know if it's changed recently, but I know there was a shift on CST where they previously gave you points for online, and now they must have a face-to-face component. So I haven't checked the most up-to-date CST portfolio myself, but I know certainly a year ago they changed it. So just be careful.
Okay. No, when I applied for CST, I had it sorted that. So, and it served me in the S33 as well. So, and the wording is also really important. So when you see the self-assessment, there is specific wording. So when you have a certificate, you need to make sure that those specific wordings are present there. Otherwise, they will say it's not appropriate. We're not giving you points.
Yeah, that's a good point, I think. Yes.
And collect feedback. Make sure that when you do your teaching, you're collecting feedback from the participants and also from faculty if you have faculty, because that helps to provide evidence for your teaching. And if you're thinking about publishing your work, your teaching program, which is actually both of my publications were just about things like that, then think about the publication in mind when you're doing your kind of feedback questionnaires, like a pre and a post survey or a quiz, to show the impact that what you've done has made.
Yes, I think, yeah, wonderful. Yes, very, I mean, straightforward tips, and I think it's very helpful. Thank you so much for this. So now we know like this urology training program is getting like more and more competitive, the ST3 training program. So do you have guys like any idea what was the cutoff point this year for getting the interview?
I believe it is 52, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think this year, from the very credible source of Reddit,
Yeah, there is no, yeah, authentic
some
source
people who had
telling us that.
53 got offered an interview, some people didn't. I think there was like 8 people who got the same score or something like that. And then again, this is all from Reddit, so it might be a bit of rubbish, but they said that to discriminate between those people who all had the same score, which was the cutoff score, I think they looked at a particular element of your portfolio and discriminated based on the quality of your submission for that element. So again, that kind of reinforces, if that is true, may not be true, that reinforces the importance of having high quality submissions to your portfolio if you can.
Yes, yeah,
Regarding that, Molly is mentioned really important thing that when you are submitting your application, you need to make sure that most of the evidence are uploaded there very clearly and marked.
Mm.
Because there is a lot of things written there. They will just look for the word which will give you the point. Like if you are a faculty member, you'll get 3 points for teaching. So if you highlighted that I was a faculty member, even if you have a certificate of 10 pages, if you just mark that point that she was a faculty member or he was a faculty member, you get 3 points immediately. So when you're submitting your evidences, make sure you upload everything, all the email trails, all the certificates, all the feedbacks, everything, because if they don't give you any points and penalize you on those specific section, you can tell them that, okay, all right, can you relook into it? And if you don't upload those evidences, they will say we already look into it and there is nothing we can do. So always upload all the email trails, all the like accepted, this application, this poster is accepted, publication is accepted, and acceptance email, certificates, any feedbacks you get from them, upload all of those things and highlight those things. And also, I'm not sure, Molly, how you did it, but what I did for each of the sections, I made a box and I made dates like, okay, acceptance on this date, that is on this page number of that PDF. So it's easy for them, just go to that page and look into that evidence.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. You need to make it so that someone who has like a bad concussion would be able to understand.
And what you are what you are claiming there.
Yeah, I literally would screenshot the portfolio requirement and put a box around what I got. And I got a letter from my director of medical education to say that I satisfied the points. I then had an index page like what you're talking about with all of which number point this is, which page this is on. For every presentation, I would give them the certificate of attendance to the conference, the poster, the abstract, me and my name in the program. Just give them everything, because you cannot give them anything else. Once you've submitted, that's it. You can't be like, oh, I actually have this extra thing to send you. They will not allow it. I believe it's just, so just go overboard. If you think you're thinking too much into it and being overkill, you're not.
You're not.
Because it's not worth it. You want to get all of the points you deserve. So exactly what you said, make it super foolproof.
Okay, so just
arrows.
So this talk just reminded me, like, I need to also ask you guys, like, when and how one can apply for ST3 urology training. I mean, we know like it's about like oral basis. So would you like to give us some more insights about these things?
So around, I think October time, September, October time, they opened the application. So
okay.
I think September, October time, they published the self-assessment of that year. You go through the self-assessment, check your portfolio, how many points you have, and start organizing your portfolio then and there. Because when the time more close to the end of the application closer, you will find out that, oh, that need to be signed by my supervisor. And you find out he's on holiday for 2 months. And you will not be able to get hold onto them. And that point is gone because you don't have those specific signs there. So start working on your portfolio then and there as soon as you find the self-assessment form. And then I think around November time, they open the window, and end of December, they close the window. And then you wait.
And they love to time it. So if you are being last minute with your evidence, everybody is away for the Christmas break, for the New Year break, and then they open it literally, I think, like the first working day back after New Year. So I would advise everyone to have as soon as they've released the criteria, sort your evidence then. Like, it just means the stress is off. Just sort it as early as you can, because the Christmas break comes along and everybody goes into hibernation. So get it all organized using the exact wording on the most up-to-date portfolio criteria.
So 2 advisors who is uploading portfolios like in the Oriel, 2 advisors, see other people's portfolio, specifically recent ST3s, because they have recently done it and they know everything in and out of this portfolio, because they're so updated about those self-assessment. So go through their portfolio, how they organize it, how they upload it, how they get all the points, and try to make your portfolio like this. It's even now, you should ask the new ST3s to show their portfolios, ST3, ST4s, because there is not much change done within last 1-2 years time. So look into their portfolios and see how you can improve yours by looking at theirs. And when you also look at your colleagues, like who is applying with you, because they might have added something. Because I have seen, I think, at least 5-10 people of my, when I was practicing with them, I've seen 5-10 of their portfolios. I found out, oh, I could have done it like this, it could have been better this way, it looks so nice. So if I could have, if I saw their portfolio before, I would have done it like that. So see how people already done the portfolio and how your colleagues are doing it, and upload it as soon as the application is open, because the more you wait, the more you will be stressed.
Thank you for reminding me. I may ask to show your portfolio at some point to me before
Always welcome.
applying. Yes.
I'd also
Thank
say,
you.
just to add to that, if anyone is going to BOUS this year, last year I went to this, I don't know what it was called, Pathway to National Training Number or something session, I think organised by BSOT. I think Kelly Young is doing it again this year, and they did really helpful mock interview stations, which I was not prepared for in the slightest, but it's very friendly, very nice, quite gentle, and they go through, they show you like their portfolios and ask you, oh, what kind of points are you getting? And some of them were like, oh, this is the prize that I used. And I thought, oh gosh, I've got that prize. I didn't realize that that would qualify. And so, yeah, you realize actually you've got all these points that you didn't think you had. So if anyone is going to BOUS, I would recommend signing up to that, because I found it very helpful last year.
And also you ask your seniors to look into your portfolio, definitely. ST6, 7, even consultants, anyone who is helpful, ask them to look into your portfolio, because that's specifically happened with me, what Molly just mentioned. So I had 2 prizes, I never claimed points, and I show it to one of my senior, and he said, why you are not claiming these points? I said, do you think it will add some points there? Definitely. And those are 2 prizes. Give me one or 2 points on the extra bits, not the fast prize on poster, the other one. They give me full points there, and I realized, oh wow, I didn't know that if I didn't show him my portfolio, I would have never claimed those points in the first place. So make sure you're obsessed with your portfolio until the closing date is done. And when the closing date is finished, he said, okay, all right, now I have to be very focused about my study and everything, start prepping for the interview.
I'm now growing the interest to ask you, sorry, may I ask how many points you got for your portfolio? Is it 70?
No, I might be like, I think I got 63. It was whatever equates to 80%. That might be like something around that. 80%
Wow.
is my
80%. I think mine was 70.
Wonderful.
So I think you should start working on portfolio, because every year, before last year, I think the cutoff point was around, like from the Reddit, around like 49.
Reddit is helpful.
Yeah. And I know some trainees went like 2-3 years back, 4 years back, their portfolio was like 40, 42, and they got the interview easily. It's becoming more and more competitive.
More, yes.
And the cutoff
Yes.
point will get even higher. So make sure that you achieved all the points in your portfolio, so that at least you go to the interview and that's all on your knowledge and on the day of the interview.
Yes. You guys are truly inspiring. Okay, so let's get into the interview segments. I know this is the most nerve-wracking part. So if you could like walk us through the interview experiences. So start with Faridul.
Oh, I think for me, the interview was the easy bit. The preparation was the difficult one, actually, because you have to organize all the courses, even you don't know that you'll get the interview or not. If your portfolio score is not too good, you don't know that you'll get the interview. And still you have to arrange all the courses you are going to attend, BSOT 1, STARS course, and so many other courses available on MedSet. There is Glasgow 1. So there is so many courses available. You have to book it, otherwise it's just gone like this.
like this, like a Glastonbury ticket.
Yes,
It sounds
in
just,
two
but set
minutes,
your alarm.
2 minutes, everything is gone. So there was a acid. They give six seats this year for a course. I was sitting there the whole morning to book it, and when I put the okay, all right, pay, and they said something went error, and it was like in 30 seconds. So people booked those seats in 30 seconds. So you have to be really focused on how is your journey. So you have to start making groups. You should have study partners, otherwise it will be difficult journey, because someday you came from your own course, you feel so tired, so exhausted, you just want to take some rest and refill yourself, but your partner will say, okay, all right, let's practice one more stations. All right, then I'll leave you alone for the night. So you should have some reading partners. And when you start going to the course, make your connections, speak with more people, because when you speak with, I'm not sure how Molly practice, but for me, I practice with so many people, so many groups. I still getting messages from these groups, like 10, 15 of groups. They added me. What helped, because I practice with so many people, everyone will give you some sort of new information which will help you to specifically with the communication part, with the knowledge part. And people who gave exam last year, they'll be able to give you feedback, proper feedback. So when I started my preparation, I was like going all the way into the knowledge, depth of knowledge. I was reading FRC's Viva book and everything. And he said, you don't need to do that. You are an ST3. So I practiced with few of the ST3, new ST3, and few of the people I was practicing with who didn't manage to get their interview last year, training number last year. And they said, you don't need to do that. You just need to focus on the most basic one, because they will ask you on the day the basic thing and you'll not be able to say that. So focus on the most basic thing so that you don't mess up with the most basics. So when you start prepping, make sure that you have a group of people you're studying with, and you try to study every single day. That's really important, because there will be a flow. All right, if you break that flow, it is difficult to come back to the point where you like study back and picking up everything again. So try to study every single day. Try to start a couple of months in your hand, so that you can go slow, but you're studying every single day. On the day of the interview, panicked, but when the interview started, I said, okay, all right, I don't have anything in my hand. I'll just give whatever they ask and go with the flow. Make sure that if you blunder in one station or maybe one or two questions, don't think about it. Just let it flow, because there is no killer question unless you done really horrible, you said really horrible things. There is no killer questions. So they will ask you questions and you just flow with it. If you don't know, simply ask them, can we come back to it later? And they will, if you have enough time left, they will come back. So I think taking the preparation will be the difficult thing to do, and organizing your courses, meet new people in the course and make connections, practice with them, practice. I would say practice is the only key to secure your number.
Thank you. To Molly. So, if you could tell us the sections of the interviews and how's your preparation, and if you would like to share your experience about that.
Yeah, so Faridul mentioned you said exam instead of interview whilst you were talking. And I think that's an appropriate way to frame it in your mind. Treat it like an exam, treat it like your kind of Part B MRCS Viva type of thing. You need to be serious about it, treating it like an exam, because unlike some of the other specialties where they're like, oh, tell me about yourself, what is your personality traits, like all of this, not to undermine other specialties, of course, but ours is like, it's hardcore knowledge assessment. So as well as how you portray yourself, there's a lot of knowledge you have to know. So do treat it like an exam. I personally found the interview more challenging than the preparation, so we're different there. But it's 4 sections. Each section is the same length of time. 3 minutes of reading the section information, the vignette, and then 7 minutes Have I got that right? 7 minutes of station, 3 minutes of reading.
So there will be 13 minutes station.
You've got it. There we go. I've just totally lied, sorry.
Minutes of reading and 10 minutes of each station.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
15 minutes, 2 minutes of reading and 13 minutes of station. Sorry.
Thank you, because you can tell I've just let it all
Yeah.
leave my brain there.
There will be 1 hour interview.
Yeah.
2 minutes of the reading of the question and all notes you have want to do that, and 13 minutes of intense knowledge exchange.
That's right. Yeah. So 2 minutes reading, 13 minutes of station. You do get a little break between each station. It's not like you jump straight into the next one, so you can kind of clear your head. So the first 2 minutes, you just have this writing on the screen. And it just tells you your vignette. You can make notes. You're allowed a piece of paper, so you can jot things down. I would encourage you to do that. And when the examiners tell you more information, because you're in a frenzy, like write it down, write down the obs, write down what they've said so that you don't forget, and even use like highlighter pen so that you can highlight the key things in the vignette, because everything is in the vignette for a reason. And you want to be picking up, to get the higher scores, you want to pick up on the nuances of the vignette and personalize your response to the vignette. So you can say, oh, I can see in this question, this patient is a diabetic, so I'd want to screen if they're on SGLT2 inhibitors, blah, 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 blah. So you can be really kind of not just giving your kind of stock answer to any old question, make sure it's tailored. So the 4 sections are, you can have them in, there's like a certain order, but you can start on any one. So you could start comm skills, you could start skills, but then after that we'll go in a particular order. I can't remember the order, but maybe you can help me out. But the stations include comms, where you're essentially with an actor. You'll come in and they'll say, oh, I'm Mr. So-and-so, I'm Miss So-and-so, this is our actor. So you're not straight in character, but then they begin and you're just acting with the actor. Often it's breaking bad news, or like angry patient, like cancelling a patient who's last on the list, telling someone they have a missed result on the scan, they've got cancer, these kind of things. You have a skill station that's normally talking through like a surgical procedure. In this station, you need to give a bit more detail about your consent process and your actual surgical steps, like what suture are you using, where are you making your incision, all of these kind of things, like being very specific, and potential complications. Normally, they're skills that would be classical for an ST3 to deal with on their own. The most recent interviews, including mine, there was a skill that is not an ST3 skill, which led to me having some sleepless nights, because I thought, I was like, gosh, I'm not prepared for this station. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is, but it was a bit harder. So I'd say like prepare some harder ones as well. Thankfully, I'd like read up on it recently and I'd done it a few times like in real life. But I honestly lost so much sleep. And there were so many questions where I was like, oh, like you had to name instruments. And I said, oh, I'll have to come back to that at the end. And I slipped up. But I actually only lost 1 mark on that station, so I think I was getting overly stressed about nothing. But you can make mistakes and people can still give you full marks. Like one examiner wrote in my feedback, she got this wrong, da, 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 but they still gave me full marks. So don't overly stress if you can't get everything. They're not looking for that. So that's skill. Then you have emergency station. So someone coming in with acute urinary retention, clot retention, stone, like infected obstructed stone, and you have to do the assessment. They might be trauma. So like doing your A to E in a really succinct way. You don't want to focus on the parts of A to E that is not relevant as a urologist. You want to be really kind of clear about the things you're going to be focusing on. Think about it. You've got urology consultants who are your assessors. If it's not a patient in respiratory distress, they don't want to be hearing about all of this. Oh, I'd check the chest for da da da. Like, get to the important bits. You don't want to waste your time. The time sounds like a lot, but it goes really quickly, these 13 minutes. And then the final station is outpatient station. So patient has LUTs, patient has UTI. Sometimes they have several problems in one go, and the station can move quite quickly. In my experience, I feel like they asked a lot of short questions because I prepared all of these long blurbs for like all of my answers. but they butt in, they interrupt you, they be asking you this, asking you that, prompting all the time, and they'll write my feedback, lots of prompting, but still give me the full mark. So don't get too stressed. Just be agile. Don't be too fixed. Be agile to go with the flow with what they're giving you. Pick up everything they put down. Don't be too blinkered in like what you've rehearsed. So it's good to practice with your friends and like make up stations and have some curveballs in the stations. So you're used to kind of being quick and changing how you do things. I'd agree that practicing with lots of people is really helpful. Ask consultants. Sometimes consultants will give you weird questions that like not really
Great.
what you get. So you can kind of take that with a pinch of salt, but it's helpful anyway because you're practicing being agile, practicing answering weird questions. I'd always say it's good to practice with people that you think are better than you. You should be like a little bit intimidated by the people that you're practicing with so that you can steal all of the good things that they do, write it all down. So you can then be like, okay, that was amazing what they did. So I'm going to do that next time. But yeah, I did lots of practice. And as Vita was saying that Toby Murray, one of the KSS Regis, did a really incredible like practice sessions with us, going through all of the content bit by bit and practicing being in a group and having to perform and having to answer the questions with everybody watching you and everybody judging you. So I think getting used to being nervous is good because you need to be confident. They write it down in your feedback, like confident, measured. You get marks for coping under pressure. So even if you're not like, I'm such a nervous person with these kind of things, but you just have to pretend, play the game, be like the duck where you're like floating on the surface whilst you're doing all of the paddling under the water. And just, yeah, be able to not get too thrown, use the time between each station to collect yourself. I had quite a heavy comm skill. So afterwards I was like, whew, okay, let's not cry.
And I believe it was online, right? For a
Yeah.
few
Yes.
years, they're taking it online.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to ignore everyone else on the screen. Just focus on the camera.
Yes,
Okay.
like look directly at your camera. You can do this pinning thing. They use this thing called Cupacom. It's actually quite nice. I actually quite liked it. They send you like an introduction video that shows you what to expect on the day. And as a very anxious around exams type of person, it was helpful to see that. You get to test your audio visual, test your laptop, all of that. And it is quite intuitive, it's quite easy to use, and you can pin the person who's talking to you on your screen and keep everybody else as mini. It is quite a nice software. That is one thing I will give the selection process. They use a nice software.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's right. I agree. The software is
Wonderfully
smooth on
explained.
the day of the exam. You'll find it smoothly going without any difficulties. I didn't have any difficulties. Few of them had, and they sort it out immediately. So I would say they're using a good one. Regarding the interview day, I just wanted to mention two more things. Every questions, every information is important. So if they mention someone is diabetic or anticoagulants, you have to mention on those things at some point in your answer that you recognized those points that, okay, this patient is on apixaban. If he's having or she's having a procedure, we need to stop the diabetic, need to check the HbA1c or the diabetic level under control, need to go on the first on the list. So all of these points, every single points in the questions, they mean something and they're judging you on those points. Did you manage to point out all of those things or not? There'll be a lot of prompting, but do not give any wrong information. If you don't know, say I don't know, go to the next question. Said, okay, right, can you go to the next one? Can you skip this one? But do not give any wrong questions, because if you give any false information with confidence, they will fail you. They say this doctor is not safe. All right, so they will.
You can say, like, if there's this particular question, like, oh, how would you manage this situation differently in a pediatric patient? You can say, oh, this isn't something that I'm familiar with as an ST3, so I would want to consult the on-call consultant about this. Or my understanding is that you would do a GA rather than a local procedure, but the details of it, I think it would be relevant. It's about kind of safely and confidently escalating. So you'd say, in the role of an ST3, at this stage, it would be important for me to inform my on-call consultant so they could do X, Y, Z. So just being very confident, you're in that role, you are an ST3, you want to show them that this is what I already am, I'm already at this level, give them that confidence. And and if you need to confirm the dose in the BNF, you can say that you would do that. And I don't think they would massively penalize you for it. It's good to
They
know
will not. If you're being safe, if you go being safe, they're not gonna. They'll say, like, all right, maybe need a little bit. They're going a little bit generic, but making good decisions and safe decisions. If you give like wrong informations, make wrong decisions, but you are confident enough with that, I'll say no, this guy is not safe. So they're going to penalize you for that.
Yes, yes, I think, yeah. So we have to be careful about that. Regarding the depth of the knowledge, like, is this so deep question they ask about urology, or just I mean, about like daily what we practice as a like a junior doctor? This kind of question they ask.
I mean, I like to over prepare for things. So I think the more
Yeah.
you know, the more confident you are that whatever they throw at you, you'll be able to navigate that. I think it's really some things that are non-negotiable. You need to know your Bowles consensus documents. You need to know the NICE guidance. Some EAU guidance is relevant, but if you've got the other two, I think they should suffice. They can prompt you on specifics of things. So like specific suture type, or like I, for example, learned the antibiotics that my trust used for Fournier's as an example. But just being really aware of the guidelines. I wouldn't mention studies like, FRCS level trials and studies. I wouldn't mention that in the interview because you don't want to get yourself down a rabbit hole. But being able to quote the guidelines and saying I would do this in line with the consensus document, and being able to show that you know these things. And they might question you and things, and you could say, well, I know this from this guideline, and you can kind of have confidence in your answer. Whereas if you have more surface level knowledge, you may not have quite as much confidence in your delivery. I think it's very good. We were talking earlier actually that FRCS Eurocast podcast with Sophia Cashman and Harry Rattan. I found that really, really helpful for preparation. And I think the level of that for certain conditions is really good. Like they have a really good one on recurrent UTIs with Prof Harding, which is really excellent. And I think that's perfect level.
Listen to podcast. I would say listen to the podcast because they will give you a good knowledge, but you have to navigate yourself how much knowledge you want to consume, because these are first level knowledge. And when you're reading, read everything, but don't try to memorize everything. I worked as the urology registrar before I apply. So we saw patients in the clinic, and in clinic, they will ask you those questions only, which is a day-to-day basis patient there. Like you will see patients on day-to-day basis on your clinic, on your on your take, in your on calls. And so the patient you will see, or the questions you will see in the interview, will be based on real life experience, I would say. What do you think, Molly?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, they tend to cover the kind of common things, but I think in terms of over preparing, like I think that surprise station of the more difficult skill, had I not been a little bit over the top and over prepared, that would have thrown me way off, and that could have potentially ruined things for me. And like if you want to do this right and you want to try and get it the first time, so I think if it's a little bit more effort, a little bit more reading, a little bit more learning. I use the Anki flashcard app. I find that very helpful for when I'm on the tube and things. I don't have any signal. I think it is worth it. I wouldn't learn about studies and I wouldn't worry. I didn't go into that great big FRCS book, but the slimmer FRCS books are quite helpful. And
the studies are tricky. So if you mention studies, if they want to
I would avoid
ask you about What do you know about the studies? What's the
Don't
main?
mention them. You don't need, you can get full marks in your stations without mentioning a single study.
So
I'd just
do not go for the studies. Yeah, you
don't
can
mention
for
anything.
yourself, but
How did you answer then? Like, I mean, that questions like, do you know about this study? And then do you
They
want to
wouldn't
go?
ask you. They would never ask you about a study.
Okay. Okay.
They don't expect
unless you
that.
mention something like, okay, all right, I know about this study, and you give me wrong information. So on the
Yeah.
exam, so I know about this study, and they say this, and you give wrong information of that study, they'll say he don't know what he's talking about.
And I know somebody who, from the STARS course, they mentioned a study, and it was actually a study that they had personally worked on, but the interviewer had given him feedback saying he didn't know the study, but actually he did. And so just steer clear, because the interviewers have not read up on all the studies before your interview, because it's not expected. They have set questions, like very specific questions they will ask you. However, if in your answer you mention something that they need clarification on, they would be able to ask you a follow-up question to just clarify what you're saying, double check what you're saying, or to like query it. So yeah, keep yourself out of that hole. It's not worth it.
Okay. I think,
And
yeah.
if you finish early in the exam, don't worry. That's a good sign, I would say.
Okay.
If you finish early, that means they managed to ask you all the questions, and you can even ask them, do you have any questions left? I didn't answer properly. Can you ask me back all of these questions? I'm happy to answer. Or they will tell you that, do you want to add anything else? And if you want to add anything else, you go forward. So same thing happened with me for my outpatient and emergency station. I had like 3 minutes left, and they said, do you want to add anything? So for my outpatient, I speak for 1.5 minutes, and I said, no, I'm done here. I don't want to go into any rabbit holes or something like that. And on the emergency, I decided not to say anything because it was already complicated one. I don't want to make it more complicated. I said, if you guys are happy with your questions, I'm done. I'm going to the next station. So if you finish early, don't worry. That means either you have done really good, or you have done so bad they don't want to ask you any more questions. Happens very rarely. But yeah, just make sure that you are confident enough and you are giving all the right information. And specifically with the communication, I would say, pick the words from the actors. That's really important. They will give you hints, where if you miss anything, they will give you hints like, doctor, I have heard that my investigation was not done on proper time. Doctor, what happens if I complain against you? So you have to take those points and acknowledge that, okay, right, this is not done, we'll investigate this. If this happens, if you complain, we're not going to do something, we will this is independent thing will happen. So you have to acknowledge all of these points, all of these hints given by the actors, because they're giving you those hints because they carry points. That's why they're giving you those hints. If you don't acknowledge that, you're going to lose some points definitely there.
Amazingly explained. Thank you so much, both of you guys. So I think we are very close to the end of this podcast session. So lastly, I would like to ask you guys, is there any supportive communities or any groups or any platforms that you would like to recommend for the fellow applicants? Molly, already, I know like there is one of the urology registrars, Toby Murray. He is like running wonderful sessions for interview mock. But is there like any other communities or resources you'd like to recommend?
I think like when you go on courses, often they'll make a WhatsApp group. Like I went on, I'd really, really recommend the STARS course in London. Again, that sells out within a blink of an eye. I also attended the Baus Core Urology course I think it was in January time before my interview. And I think that's really worthwhile going on because they just cover everything. And it's just like a really good revision session. And I would use my notes that I made there as part of my revision really well. And you can network with other people applying and make little groups there. And when you can do your practice in the groups and with people that you've never met before, it's helpful at emulating that environment. And also it's so nice to have that camaraderie. You're all in it together. You all know what it's like, and it makes it less of a kind of scary, horrible process. It's a bit more social. So yeah, I think just be very proactive and just be brave. Just ask people. Like the worst that happens is they say no. So yeah, I just ask everybody.
Yeah.
True.
I think when you go to the courses, that's the best place to build up your network and make sure that you've been added to different groups, new set of peoples, practice with them. Be make sure that you are making the first step, because if you make the first step, the people from the other side will understand that you're interested and they will come forward with the same enthusiasm. Okay, right, let's practice. So I think that's more important. And also I think there is few groups in I practice in few groups in East Midland. Few of the register made those group, add people, and we went nuts on those groups, like asking questions.
Are you talking about like WhatsApp groups
Yes,
or?
WhatsApp group. So
Okay.
in WhatsApp group, they add people, and before the interview, like at 1 month or 1.5 month earlier the interview starts, there will be lot of groups. All right. So manage
Okay.
your time properly, because if you commit to different groups at the same time, you'll not be able to do that. So manage your time, uh, give your give yourself also some time to study as well. You're not gonna benefit just to practice. You have to practice and give yourself time to make sure that all this practice you have done is actually improving something.
Yeah, consolidate
Yeah.
like what you've done in
And
practice.
share your knowledge, something. You should, so if you get an information from one group, try to pass it to the next one. What will happen if the next group has something, they will give it to you, and you'll be able to like spread the good knowledge.
Yeah,
And at the meantime, you will able to get the gist of that knowledge. Yeah.
yeah, it helps you learn it better.
Yeah.
I'd also say for comm skills, I found it very helpful to practice with non-clinical people. So like my sister has an acting background, so I did like some practice with her, and that was very helpful because like it is an acting station. You have an actor and you are also acting. You're both in these like roles doing role play. So it is acting. So think about the way you hold yourself, even in your normal stations, the way that you present yourself, the way you give your answers across. Like I gesticulate too much, so sitting on your hands and all of these kind of things. You can even, I mean, I would be like, oh, here's a tissue. Like that's a bit extra. But
Okay.
then you can really kind of get into it. And yeah, I did some practice. I annoyed all of my friends in other specialties. Like I had an orthopedic registrar friend who did some practice with me, and she picked up on points that like no one had mentioned before because it's just a different perspective, and it was just so helpful to have all of that feedback. And one radiology colleague who'd gone through interviews gave me lots of very helpful feedback. So yeah, I think just don't ask, don't get is the best advice I've ever been given. So just be a bit annoying, and it's okay. Everyone will be very happy for you when you and your success. So yeah,
You'll
everyone
forget
urology is
everything
such
how
a
annoying you were before when you get your number.
Uh,
It will
I
Everyone will
think
be
I think that
forget you.
that's a very useful tip. Yeah, I'll remind that. Okay. So thank you so much, Molly and Faridul, for sharing your time, wisdom, and inspiring journeys with us today. I'm sure, like many of like aspiring urologists will find these episodes incredibly helpful. And once again, congratulations on your remarkable success, and wish you all the best for your future training. Big thanks to Atikur Rahman again for his wonderful support and contribution behind this scene. So, and also to our listeners, thank you so much if you're watching this. And this was really, really wonderful session. Especially, I'm so thankful to both of you guys for sharing your thoughts and then ideas and tips. I mean, everything was like wonderfully explained.
Oh, well, thank you so much for hosting, and also again, thank you so much, Atik. But I'd also say just if you work hard, you can achieve it. Like so often people are saying, oh, you won't be able to do it, don't have your heart set on a certain location, or it's really difficult. Just prove them wrong. Just have the confidence. Urology is an excellent specialty. I personally think it's so worth it, and just use the support from the lovely colleagues in this lovely specialty, and yeah, you can do very well. Wishing everybody applying all of the best.
All right. Thank you, Asmi, and Atik Bhai as well for organizing this podcast. I would say like this is a nice experience. It is nice to share your experience, isn't it, Molly? So I believe
Yeah.
we went to that time where we are like so busy with these practice sessions, but we're enjoying the time now, sharing our experiences. That's the best of it, I would say. Now, I would, if anyone, my advice for everyone who wants to be a neurologist, want to go for the training number, focus on your portfolio, start making your preparations early, and yeah, you'll get it. Prove everyone wrong who tell you that you can't do it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And have a nice weekend and lovely evening.
Thank you too.
Thanks. Meet you later at some point.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.